The NASCAR Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost. Edge Boost enables you to double your bet with no interest. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to get started today. We're also brought to you by Bird Dogs Shorts. The world's greatest shorts are hooking you up with a free Yeti-style tumbler when you order over at birddogs.com/pool.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Despite the week off, we are still charging at it. It is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. And unlike all of the drivers that are taking a week off, I was stuck in traffic. They weren't. So I'm just very happy to be seated in front of you, Cody, after 3 hours in a car. And I now have a deeper appreciation of what these drivers go through, albeit I was just behind a semi for the better part of it. These guys are in the car for about 3 or 4 hours, at least moving forward, I guess.
Yeah, I think you were going about 175 miles an hour slower than they normally do, but at least you can relate now, right?
Oh my God. And that's the thing about it too, is that in the state of California, it's so dense in places as far as traffic is concerned that I don't think everybody understands that I could sit in like an hour and a half of traffic and move a mile and a half. I know traffic is it's not only in California, but I don't know what it is, but I've lived in other places and it just feels worse here in California.
Yeah, that's what you always hear is California has the worst traffic. So that's why I stay here in the Midwest where nobody lives.
where if a cow gets in front of you, then you're like, okay,
hey,
let's move it or lose it, Bessie.
You got to watch out. People hit cows often, actually. It's not.
I know. I'm so I've lived in those places, so I can relate. But all right. You didn't come here to hear about traffic. You came here to hear about NASCAR. We are definitely today breaking down for you the truck and Xfinity futures, just like we did yesterday with the Cup cars. So make sure you go back, listen to the Cup. That was a lot of good stuff in that Cup breakdown too. I was pretty excited about the odds after we got done.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of great conversation. It's nice to just have it's kind of nice this break is built in, right? And we get the chance to take a break and stop for a second and not have to go just race specific. You got to look at the full picture, where guys are at, how things are trending, who there is. We found a 40-1 bet that's worth placing, a 20-1 bet that's worth placing right now. Walk through everybody who might be worth it, who might not be. And so, yeah, I think that was great. Now we can do the same with the Xfinity and the Truck Series. I think the Truck Series part will probably be a little bit shorter. I think it's pretty top heavy there, but the Xfinity Series, I would say that one, well, the Cup Series probably has the most different amount of guys that could win, but quite a few guys could win the title in the Xfinity Series as well. And in the Truck Series, it's still a pretty wide open field there as well. So I'm excited to talk both of these series as well. And I think it's going to be another fun show as we slowly wait for NASCAR to come back next week.
Ever so slowly wait for NASCAR to come back. And I will say this to you too, for the trucks, we're running out of time. I mean, it's almost time for the regular season to be over. So there's not a lot of time left.
5 races left in the regular season, I think. So it's getting down to crunch time for these guys. Like their season is quickly approaching the end.
Yeah. So obviously, like Cody said, we're going to be taking
4 races left in the regular season.
the regular season. Yeah, they're back this week again after a little hiatus. They'll be back in Nashville with the Xfinity and the Cup drivers. So they're in action again this week. Next week rather. But yeah, I mean, I tell you right now, that season is so short that you almost forget that it's that short.
Yeah, because you get, I think it's 36 with Cup. I think Xfinity's either 33 or 34, and then the Trucks is only like 23. So it's much shorter than these other guys. And yeah, it jumps up on you quickly.
Yeah. And it's been a blast. I think, I don't know what it is. Maybe this season that we've been following it a lot closer. Because remember, last season, we didn't really jump into Trucks and Xfinity until a few races in. I mean, I can't even remember.
We were probably, gosh, I bet it was halfway through the season even before we really started to dig into those. And even then, we were still at one. I think we were at 2 shows at that point. One was the DFS show, and one was all 3 series. We just kind of crammed it all in there, couple picks from each series. Now spending this whole season so far with an entire episode dedicated to the Trucks, an entire episode dedicated to Xfinity, it's really opened things up and helps you get even deeper into it, and you really feel like you know what's going on.
But what it also does too is it gives you the opportunity to see guys like Grant Enfinger, who made a start in Sonoma, right? Zane Smith. So when these guys come up to the Cup Series, you're like, oh yeah, I remember Zane Smith. He won the Truck Series last year. Like, I remember that because we covered that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And you just get to know these guys better, right? And then that can play into advantage of, okay, how could we bet on this guy? A guy like Zane Smith comes to Daytona and you don't know who he is. And you're like, oh, I don't know. But where we look back in the Truck Series and we can say, okay, he's really good at super speedways. And boom, he gets a top 10 in the Daytona 500. And it's like, okay. And then we bet on him this past weekend. Things didn't work out because of some pit road issues, but he was looking just fine before that. Enfinger had a great day as well. That was good to see for him, especially with the way that 42 car has been running this season. But yeah, it's been exciting to follow along, and you get to. I've always followed these 3 series or these other 2 series pretty closely, but to be fully deep dove into them now, and you can see the future stars of NASCAR already. Like Zane Smith is a guy that's going to be in the Cup Series for probably many, many years coming up, and we've seen guys like Noah Gragson move up. And if you just watch the Cup Series, you're like, this Noah Gragson kid, like, it's kind of rough for this guy. Like, who? But because we saw the talent last season, all those races he won, he was in the championship hunt, like everything, and he's got what he's got underneath that driver's suit and inside that helmet. You just got to get him in a car that's capable of doing it in the Cup Series.
Indeed. And he will at some point. Maybe Toyota will be we'll talk about that in a second. I'm telling you right now, I'm excited about that news, but I'm also excited to tell you about Edge Boost, because this episode is supported by Edge Boost. Edge Boost is the world's first bet now, pay later Visa card. Edge is currently giving you up to $2,500 in betting advances, which can be an extremely valuable tool, especially in this episode and the episode before, where we're breaking down futures bets. You don't want to tie up your money for months? That's fine. Edge Boost will allow you to use that extended bankroll, that increased bankroll that you get with that $2,500 in betting advances, to get down and double down on some of these futures bets that we're about to give you. And plus, you can also use it to create an awesome middle or even hedge. Edge Boost is not a sleazy loan shark. I gave you the example before about keep your toes, go with Edge, right? Sign up with Edge. That's what we want you to do. They charge 0 interest. And I don't know if you know, but you know now a way that you can access more money to place bets on your favorite bet without paying any interest. Edge Boost can also be a part of a responsible gambling plan, as you can set up daily, weekly, monthly limits across all of your betting accounts in just one place. Please support the SGPN, grow your bankroll by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to sign up. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge. Must be 21 years or older to use. Problem gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, so we talked about it. There are obviously championship odds up for the Cup Series. Thankfully and finally, we got ourselves some Xfinity and some Truck Series odds as well. And then, you talked about going over, I liked how you set it up yesterday with the kind of going over who is where and where the playoffs are with the Trucks. Obviously, like we said, quickly approaching. This is shaping up to be quite the race.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at it right now, Corey Heim, despite missing the last race, is still atop the regular season point standings. He's been approved for a playoff waiver as well, so he is still eligible, although they don't have him. That's the weird thing about the way NASCAR does it is they don't have him listed where he would be in the playoffs at this point. So I don't know. That doesn't. It's so weird. And then because he didn't race the last race, they take his number off the thing. It's strange. I don't completely understand that. So Heim is in. He's got to win. He's still the regular season points leader. He's going to have the medical waiver. So I don't know where he would factor into this. I guess I could try and find that information at some point. But he's in at this point and basically locked in because he is a winner. And with less races, it makes it easier to only have one win and be locked in this series. So Heim is in this mix somewhere. But if the playoffs started today, the way that NASCAR has it listed, Christian Eckes would be the current leader. Then you have a tie with Grant Enfinger and Zane Smith. Zane Smith, defending champion. He's finished in the top 3 seasons in a row in the standings. Ben Rhodes, the champion from 2 seasons ago. He's in 4th. Carson Hocevar, Ty Majeski. And I believe all of those drivers have at least a win, multiple wins in some cases. Ty Majeski, did I just mention him? I think I might have.
Yeah, and he actually does not have a win.
He does. He's the first one that doesn't have a win. Then Matt Crafton, a 3-time champion. Stuart Friesen, our favorite Canadian driver specifically. Matt DiBenedetto is actually in the playoff. Whoa, that's crazy. Matt DiBenedetto and Tanner Gray currently reside inside the playoffs, but on the bubble, only 4 points out of that. Nicholas Sanchez, and then 31 points back to Chase Purdy. Jake Garcia's 51 back. Ankrum, Caruth, Haley Deegan's about 100 points back. You're starting to get a little farther out at that point. But again, Gray, I hate how NASCAR lists this stuff. I'm going to track down Bob's Twitter and see if his looks any different on as far as where the standings are, just because Heim obviously is going to be in there. I don't know why they have it listed this way, but anyways.
Yeah, that would definitely push Tanner Gray out of it for sure.
Yeah.
But Matt DiBenedetto hanging on to a playoff spot. If you were to, we didn't really predict him being much of a factor, but Matt DiBenedetto, 1 top 5, 6 top 10s, 2 DNFs, no wins, obviously. So, again, it's just a matter of he was able to accumulate enough top 5s to top 10s rather, to get into the mix when everybody else in that vicinity has 6, 5. Grant Enfinger has 7. Eckes has 6. Ben Rhodes has 7. Majeski has 8. So, the consistency factor of Matt DiBenedetto doesn't surprise his fans, but it definitely surprises me. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah, exactly. And so looking at the way that at least that the owner points are with this 11 truck, here we go. Yes, look at that. Bob's got us. Bob's got us covered here. Heim is listed as the leader. He's got 9 playoff points, so that would put him in 3rd place. So it would be Eckes. No, that would put him 4th. It'd be Eckes, Enfinger, Smith. Eckes has 14 playoff points. Enfinger, Smith, and then Corey Heim would be in 4th place. So just to clear all that up, and then Tanner Gray would be currently 7 points behind Matt DiBenedetto on the cut line.
On the bubble. And look, when you look at the top of that list, obviously the ones with multiple wins kind of cry out at you, and we'll obviously talk about their odds with Eckes and Enfinger and Smith all having 2 wins apiece. And with 4 wins in the regular season, that gives one of these guys an opportunity to get in. Now, obviously, somebody's going to point in without getting a win because there's only 4 races left. And what is there? 5 seats available with just kind of open spots with nobody winning.
You got before 4 spots actually, because when you add Heim in there, you've got 6 winners that are locked in. So those guys are all locked in because they've got wins. Assuming, I guess, that somebody that doesn't have a win doesn't win the regular season title, which is not going to happen with Grant. Well, actually, Ty Majeski's only 1 point out of the lead, so that is possible. I guess they're not technically all locked in just yet, but again, I would say you're fairly safe as far as having those 6 different winners most likely going to be in the playoffs here.
Yeah. And we've seen time after time that when you get to the final 4 of this, and obviously I think Zane Smith, this is where we want the to make the top 4 type of bets. Come on, books. We've been crying about it. We're going to continue to cry about it. We want more of those, but you've got Nashville, you got Mid-Ohio, you've got Pocono, and then you got Richmond waiting for these truck drivers all ahead of them before the playoffs. So,
and I think that's kind of a key too. There's no super speedways in there. You do have one road course. They're not racing at Chicago. So for the most part, you have 3 fairly regular tracks in Nashville, Pocono, and Richmond, and then one road course tossed in there, but you're likely not going to see a bunch of surprise winners in that group. I mean, a guy like Majeski, you wouldn't be surprised to see him win. Obviously, he's likely going to be in the playoffs anyways. Friesen could probably get a win at some point. Maybe Sanchez pulls one off. We've seen him be really fast at some places. Otherwise, kind of looking through this list, it'd be a shocker if you really got a different winner. Matt Crafton, maybe. He could pop up and grab one. He's always a fun long shot to place because he can win. But I think at this point, I'd still even be surprised if he were to get a win.
You're not a Matt Crafton believer. There's so many out there.
You can't count him out though. That's the thing is like, and that's why if you do get him at 40-1 and stuff, it's always worth betting on him because he's been around and he's been in this truck series for 23 seasons. He's got 3 championships. Like he's still in top tier equipment at Thor Sport. He can get it done. We don't see it on a regular basis anymore as far as competing for the win, but they can play their cards properly and you can't count him out for sure.
You can. You just do it at
I don't
your
think
own
you
risk, I'm sure. I'm just saying, like it happens. But all right, you know what else you can't count out? Comfortability when it comes to shorts. It is getting to be the time of year where you're gonna want to wear shorts, and not just any shorts, folks. Comfortable shorts, shorts that won't leave you feeling like a swamp, shorts that will fit and make your legs look way more muscular than they probably should be and turn heads on every beach and every street you walk down. I don't know about you, but I wear shorts to get noticed. And mainly when they do that, they go, damn, those legs are hairy. And I will say, yes, they are. But people's eyes will be away from all that hair on my legs and onto my new Bird Dogs shorts when they come. My Bird Dogs shorts will be khaki and fitted through the thigh to make people gaze there and not toward the hairiness that is my legs. Not only do Bird Dogs do that for you, but they also do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but they fit way better, and they fit better than regular shorts too that are made of stiff and restricting cotton. No, Bird Dogs fixed all of your problems by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki but stretches so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice on your movement. Go run a marathon. Well, okay, maybe don't run a marathon. I don't know. Try it and let me know how it goes. Run a marathon of Bird Dogs. Now, if you get hurt, don't sue me. In fact, you know what? Take all this back. Editor, cut this all out. I don't want any liability if that happens. Bird Dogs uses anti-stink, sweat, and wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. Game changers in shorts. Who would have thought your life would have gotten better just by putting on a brand new pair of shorts? Go to birddogs.com/pool, enter promo code pool for a free Yeti style tumbler. If you needed more reason to do it, sign up now with birddogs.com/pool for a free Yeti style tumbler. You're not going to want to take off your Bird Dogs. We promise you.
I actually got complimented on my calf the other day by an old lady. So I think my wife is probably happy I didn't have my Bird Dog shorts yet, because who knows what would happen in that case. But
she would have been all over that.
Mostly because I have a Husker tattoo, and that's what she was commenting on. But I don't think it was actually my legs. But if I was wearing those shorts, better watch out for them old ladies.
Grandmas love Bird Dogs.
Hey, we have a grandma theme on this show, I guess. Grandmas love the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. Grandmas love Bird Dog shorts. What more do you need, right?
I mean, look,
we're here for the grandma.
So, like, it's a matter of they love it too. So, all right. Before we go completely off the rails,
it's probably time.
I know it's 5:00 somewhere, right? I think this show condones us having a drink or two on. So
exactly. It's actually almost 5 o'clock here, so there you go.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. All right, truck odds. There are no surprises at the top. We talked a lot about him just a second ago. Obviously, won the championship last year. And when you start talking about the levels of confidence that someone's going to win the championship, Zane Smith has pretty much got it on lock from the books. He is at plus 200 on Caesars to win the championship for that. And if you go to BetMGM, he's also plus 200. And then the drop off goes to Ty Majeski at plus 425 on the books for Caesars, plus 450 on MGM. So I just want to talk about those top two right there, because obviously there's a substantial difference in a couple hundred points here between Zane, who obviously is the favorite, one of the strongest trucks this year. You can't argue with that. Sitting third right now in the playoff standings. And then, of course, Ty Majeski, who has yet to win a race, has looked fast, but at plus 425 is pretty sneaky.
Yeah, so I think that Zane sitting at plus 100 is probably accurate, right? He's the best driver in the best truck. He won the championship last season. He's been top 2 in 3 consecutive seasons. It's not really a surprise, but you go and look at how the season's going. It started well for Zane. It's kind of trailed off here lately. I would not bet this at only plus 200. I just think if you're going to take it at plus 200, just wait and bet on him to win the race or to win the championship at that point when they get to Phoenix. We've seen it in the past where the best driver in the best truck in John Hunter Nemechek just 2 seasons ago didn't even make the Final Four because his playoffs went so horribly. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Zane. Likely he's going to be in there. There's a real good chance he ends up winning the title. But as far as odds are concerned, it's tough to make a case to actually want to bet on this at this price. But you can't blame the books for having it set at this price. And it's probably the appropriate price. If he was any more, we'd probably want to bet on him, right? So I think that they probably have labeled that perfectly. And then really, I think that probably on the next handful of guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would say probably the next 5 guys is where you're going to make your deepest argument for the value is good on all of these guys at plus 450 or more. And you can make a solid argument for any of them to win. For Ty Majeski specifically, second place in the standings so far this season. He's had a very successful season. He's in a Thor Sport truck. We know these Thor Sport trucks can win championships. Rhodes did it a couple years ago. Crafton, I believe all 3 of his championships have come in Thor Sport trucks. So it's, again, he's shown that he can be one of the top drivers. So plus 450, again, I think it's kind of a pick your poison. Maybe you pick 2 out of these next 5 or 6 guys and just kind of sprinkle them in based on whichever guys you want. You know, I have my eye on one guy specifically who we'll be talking about next, I think.
I do. But I do want to give I want to paint a quick picture of the odds as well. And so you kind of talked about the next 5 or 6 guys. There is a line, a clear line, especially BetMGM.
Man, this is, I mean, they've laid this out perfectly. This is exactly how I see these tiers all. Like Zane Smith in a tier by himself. And then, like you're about to say, you have this next group of guys in a tier, and then it falls off a cliff.
Yeah, and I mean, when we say it falls off a cliff, it legit falls off a cliff. There is a plus 700, right? So it ranges between plus 200 to plus 700 when you're talking about the triple digits there. And then all of a sudden, the next driver on that list is at plus 1,600, more than 2 times the price on this. Now, I will say that's on BetMGM. On Caesars, it's a little shallower of a little more shallow of a drop off.
Such a deep dive, but
yeah, it's plus 800 to plus 1,200 is the drop off, but obviously, even that is still a clear line between the tiers where they think, like you just said, Zane right there by himself, next couple of guys in that vicinity, and then the next guys are all long shots.
And in that group, it's Ty Majeski, Corey Heim, Ben Rhodes, Grant Enfinger, Christian Eckes, like those. And I think that those are the guys that you can realistically make an argument to be the strongest cases to win the championship. I think there's other guys you can make a case for as we go farther down, and we will. But if you're going to pick a quote-unquote favorite, I think that you can take any of those guys and say, this guy really has a good, solid chance to win this.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it is on race day as well. If you take a look at a lot of these guys are the ones that we're talking about who we think are going to win it, right? Ty Majeski at 450, Corey Heim at 450, Ben Rhodes at 600, Enfinger at 600, and Eckes at 700. That is the list. And so when we're talking about guys to win the championship, that is your B tier, I guess, or A plus or A minus tier, however you want to put it. But I know, Cody, you want to talk about Corey Heim because that's exciting.
No,
for
I
you.
do.
Plus 450. That could be something, especially if he ends up winning another race.
Yeah, absolutely. Love Corey Heim here. Again, he's missed a race and he's still the regular season points leader. So that right there goes to show you what you need to know. These Tricon trucks are fast. We know that. They've shown a lot of speed. They've been good in the past when it was David Gilliland racing. Now that they're the top Toyota team, they still have been very good. Corey Heim has been fantastic. 2 wins last season in a short. I think he only ran 16 races. Won the Rookie of the Year. It doesn't seem like the pressure gets to him, right? He's already got wins this season. He's got a win, I think, this season. Yes, just 1 win. But in that race, beat Kyle Busch to get it. It was rain shortened, yes, but stayed ahead of him for a long time at Martinsville. And Busch finished second. It's not like Busch was 20th or anything like that. So held him off, got the win there. And again, even missing a race is still the points leader. I love Corey Heim week in and week out. I talk about him a lot on this show. I think he is ready to be a champion. I think he could win it, and he's already gotten my bet. I bet him a couple weeks ago, I think at plus 500 or so, and now even after missing a race, he's still only plus 450. So Corey Heim is the guy that I would for sure, out of all of these guys, I have already placed, and if I hadn't yet, I would be placing a bet again on Heim to win this title, especially at plus 450. I think that it's not a for sure thing that he's going to be in the Final Four, of course, but I think when you look at this group, like he's got, I would say next to Zane Smith, I would say he has the next best odds of being in the top 4, in my opinion. And so when you have a guy that's that good, that's likely going to get there, why not have that plus 450 ticket on him now? Because you're not going to get that once they're in Phoenix.
Yeah, and really, to me, between Ty Majeski and Corey Heim, the fact that Ty does not have a win on him, that's the thing that scares me the most. He hasn't won yet this season, and he's had plenty of opportunities. He's had some fast trucks. He's just been caught up in some problems, and when a season starts to go like that, you can't get a win, and somebody's already got 2, then it makes me wonder, well, what's going on with you? Why can't you win?
And I will say too, I mean, you go back to last year's championship race, there was 4 guys, and with 10 laps left in that race, they were 1, 2, 3, 4. It was that close. Majeski ended up spinning out and having a horrible finish in that race, but that's how close the championship was. It wasn't like Zane Smith just went and ran away with it and owned everyone. That definitely wasn't the case. All 4 guys had a chance at that late. And honestly, Ben Rhodes might have won that had it not been for his teammate Majeski spinning out late. So I think that is of note as well when you talk about betting on Zane at plus 200.
Well, and you kind of said it right there. Ty Majeski spun out when it counted most.
Well,
so
true,
I mean,
true.
that's the only thing that stops me.
He did his wins last season. He struggled all season. It was like he's so close, he's so close, he's so close. Then he rattled off 2 wins late. They were deep in the playoffs to get him locked in. He was the first driver locked into the Final Four. So that could come into play if you want to make an argument towards betting him. He was the first one to lock himself in last year. He's good at those types of tracks late in the year. I believe Martinsville is still the race before the championship for the Truck Series guys as well. No, it's not. Just kidding. It's Homestead, Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like before the champ, just lock yourself completely into the Final Four.
Got it. Yeah,
but
Homestead.
Yeah. And man, Talladega is in that final round of 8 too. Such a wild card that could really, really screw someone out of a championship bid. That's kind of an underrated piece to that that Elite 8 round of the championship chase for the trucks.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to that one as well. Look, if I was going to do anything, I would lean a little toward Enfinger at plus 600. It's sort of now it feels like a no-brainer type of a bet, right? Because we've seen him win 2 races. I know you're still not on the Enfinger train all the way, but I just feel like this is one of those seasons where the attention is elsewhere. The attention is on Heim. The attention is on Majeski. The attention is on Smith. And Enfinger, every time he's running up front, it sounds like the announcers are surprised. They're like, oh, hey, and look, there's a 23 truck. And I'm like, well, yeah, look at that 23 truck. He's already won 2 races. What more does he need to prove this season that he's actually deserving to be in there. He got a chance at a cup ride because of how well he's done. And I think this season, if there was anybody that could dethrone Zane, I think it could be Grant Enfinger, especially at 600. I mean, I feel like there's a decent value in speculating on him to come through for you and maybe win a championship this year.
First of all, his name is Grant MacArthur Finger, or Grant MacArthur Enfinger, which that is a great middle name. MacArthur as your middle name. First of all, that's wonderful. Just noticed that as I was looking at his Wikipedia page here. But yeah, and he's 38 years old. I know he'd been around a long time. I didn't realize that he was that old that's not that old, obviously, but for a race car driver.
Put him in a retirement home already.
He's about ready to hang it up right now, but he's made the Final Four before in 2020. So he can get there. He did finish fourth that year, but he's definitely a guy you can't count out. I mean, we've seen him get 2 wins already this season, which a lot of these other guys haven't got. Zane Smith, I think, is the only other guy with 2 wins on the season. Even Heim and Majeski don't have that. So definitely a guy you can't count out at 6-1. I think the argument's there for him. Ben Rhodes also 6-1. Another guy you can't count out. Won the championship 2 seasons ago. If you have not seen his post-race press conference, he's just absolutely hammered. And it is the greatest thing you've ever seen. Go look that up on YouTube. It's amazing. But and again, last season had a chance to win it back-to-back until his teammate spun late. It cost him, and Zane Smith ends up getting the trophy. But at plus 600 for a guy that's done it recently and almost did it back-to-back seasons, it's so weird with him because we just talked about it a couple weeks ago, right? He'd been having a rough season. Things weren't going his way. He obviously listened to the show and said, fuck you guys, and went out and won that week and shut everybody up. But that's the thing with him is like he can just jump up and do it. He's got the talent. He's in the equipment. Again, like you can make the argument for all of these guys in this range. There's nobody that you can count out, in my opinion, even on the Cup Series side of things. Zane Smith, I guess, is the one guy I'm not going to bet on just because of where the odds are. Like on the Cup Series side of things, it was, it's a tougher road for certain guys and different things. But for the Truck Series, I would say all of these top 6 guys, top 6 guys. I can't fault you for betting on any of them.
All right, and even Eckes, the one that we kind of have left out on there, plus 700 on BetMGM. Eckes is also 800.
Man, he has been impressive. Does he have 2 wins also, actually?
Yes, he does.
Yes. So, yeah, he has been very impressive, especially in this this McAnally 19 truck. Like, not necessarily something we've always seen before from this truck. So, again, a guy that you can't count out. I was trying to see. I don't think he's 8th place, actually, the best he's ever finished in the Truck Series title fight. And that was even in a ThorSport truck, which was interesting. But it does seem like he's a different driver this year as far as he's got a fire lit under him. I mean, he lost his job at ThorSport kind of unceremoniously, right? They kind of dumped him to bring Haley Deegan in. He was left without a ride, kind of slid into this McAnally ride last second. And he's shown up and had speed. He's one of the fastest trucks almost each and every week. So, again, just another guy. You cannot count any of these guys out. And again, from this group, Zane is the one I would not bet on. Heim is the one that I for sure would bet on. And then it's pick your poison between Majeski, Rhodes, Enfinger, Eckes. I think that you just pick any of those guys and bet on them. I don't even know which one I would lean towards next because they're all so close, in my opinion.
Yeah, and for me, like I said, if I was to lean anywhere, it probably would be Grant Enfinger. I just feel like he pops up, and like I said, everybody on the broadcast is always surprised that he's running around the front when he runs around the front, and it's just like, okay, well, that's the sign of a guy that's going to be there at the end, I think, and if he's there at the end, like you said, Cody, last time all 4 of these guys were all together in that pack, and any one of them could have ended up winning. So. Like you said, I think you just pick your poison and go with that. Now, as far as the drop-off is concerned, it's kind of warranted. I mean, and I'll look at BetMGM where the drop-off is steeper. You got Carson Hocevar at 16-1, Friesen at 20-1, Crafton at 20-1, Sanchez at 25-1, Tanner Gray at 30-1, Matt DiBenedetto at 50-1, like Purdy at 50-1, and then the rest of them you just can't. There's no way I could even try to give you anybody else down there because these 75-1s, these 200 to ones, I don't think they're worth even mentioning. But out of those, I think that the stopping point would be Matt DiBenedetto, since he is in the playoffs right now. So, I mean, what say you on any of these guys?
Yeah, I mean, Hocevar, talk about guys that are going to have a future in the Cup Series, right? Hocevar is one of those guys, a great young talent. He's progressed a lot this season for sure. Is he a champion yet? I don't see it. I don't think he is yet. In the future, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back for the Truck Series, which I think he's going to the Xfinity Series. I think he'll be in the number 8 car for Junior Motorsports next year. We'll see how that pans out, but I don't think he's a champion just yet. 16 to 1, you can make the argument, right? He's pretty much locked in, but I'm not going to take that just yet. Friesen, talk about old guys, right? He's 39. He's been around a long time. His best finish is a 4th place. He's made that Final Four before in 2019. 20 to 1, a guy that you can't ever count out, right? And he can jump up and have good weeks. He's a sly veteran. We've kind of seen a little bit of a bump from him lately since the crew chief change. At 20 to 1, he's probably the longest shot that I'd be willing to place my money on. And of this group, I would say he's probably the guy that I would place the long shot bet on.
Yeah, because I mean, again, Matt DiBenedetto, the fact that he's probably going to be in the playoffs is a surprise in and of itself. But again, you gotta prove that you're a championship contender. And really, the only people so far that I feel like have proven that championship contender are the same ones that the books agree that have been championship contenders. Because I can't say Nick Sanchez is going to make enough waves over the last 4 races to make me think that he's going to win a championship. Same can be said about Matt Crafton. I even to me, like Matt Crafton, you can't count him out, but
I think if Crafton was like 40 to 1, maybe you throw a flyer just because he's good enough, but he's kind of hanging. He's 20 to 1 also. And it's like, I don't believe enough that he's still got enough left in him. Obviously he can get it done. He's done it 3 times before. Sanchez in a very fast truck, right? We know that those KBM trucks, well, he's technically, I think, in the Rev Motorsports, but it's a KBM truck. We know they're fast. We know he's been good, but he's still young. He's unproven. I don't think he's championship quality yet. Tanner Gray, again, I think kind of the same thing there. I'm sad that Taylor's not listed on here for some reason, but I don't think that he's going to win it either, so it's fine. And then, I mean, DiBenedetto at 50 to 1, you could toss it out there for sure, just because he's a former Cup Series guy. He's been having an impressive season. That's still a very small team. You still do have, 14 races left in the season. That's a long grind. When it gets down to the playoff crunch time, they're not going to have the manufacturer backing these other guys have. They don't have all the resources these other guys have. I don't see DiBenedetto quite making that run just yet with this smaller team.
Yeah, and again, it's just not something I'm willing to throw any sort of anything at, because that's too much for me to want to. And I've, especially when you watch him, yeah, it is that. Now that's a guy that when that's what I'm saying. That's a guy that when he's running up front and the broadcaster's like, "Oh, look at Matt DiBenedetto," I'm like, "Oh yeah, look at Matt DiBenedetto."
What's he gonna do? Yeah, how's he gonna mess it up though? Is always the next question. Like,
yeah,
he really makes a lot of mistakes. And champions don't make mistakes like that. So I think it is a pretty tough. Again, at 50 to 1, if you want to throw a little bit on it as a flyer, just because at this point he is in the playoffs, although he's the last truck on the cutoff line. Just to have money on one of them. And the only, again, in this series, only 10 guys make the playoffs compared to where you have 16 in the Cup Series. So, but I don't see DiBenedetto getting it done.
Nope. Me either. All right. I feel like that's a good place to leave the Truck Series. I think we've given out our opinions on that. Let's turn our attention to the Xfinity Series. But first, let me thank each and every one of you who have watched on YouTube over the course of the last few months here, as we have rolled out our video presence and just made a YouTube appearance for this show. Thank you to each and every one of you that have commented, that have liked, that have subscribed, that have shared the video to all of your friends, that have put it on in your grandmother's housing units and shown all of her friends, because as we know, not only do grandmas love Bird Dog Shorts, but they also love the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, and we love you guys for it. So appreciate all that as well. Please continue to do that. We want to see this channel grow. We want to see this show continue to grow, and it only happens if you are proactive with the YouTube channel like we know you can be. And I will shut up and move on to the next part of this show.
Hey everybody, if you play fantasy football, especially in auction leagues,
And or you're a whiskey fan.
yes, exactly. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast Fantasy Football Channel show, Old Fashioned Football.
Coming to you every Tuesday morning, give us a listen. We'll bring you the latest fantasy football data, including
The injury report,
studs and duds,
waiver wire targets,
and suggested fab.
market movers. After all, we are the Marks,
He is my hubby.
and she's J Mark's wifey.
And we're bringing all this to you while drinking an old fashioned and giving you our honest review of a different whiskey every week.
All that and more. Hop on over, give us a listen, come for the football, stay for the whiskey.
This ad's almost done.
Going once, going twice.
Sold.
As we move, oh yeah, what? Yeah.
No, I was just wait. I jumped. False start. Apologies.
Flag on the play. Cody's false start. We restarted.
I got a little too excited there and jumped off sides.
Editor, cut all that stuff out too. You know, it's funny. I'm the editor and I ain't cutting any of it out. All right. So as we move up a series to the Xfinity series, this one, I don't know. This one is a lot more wide open in my opinion than the trucks.
This one
as far
is weird too.
Yeah.
It's just,
It is kind of a strange.
it's an odd
strange-
combination of guys. So we'll set it up here. John Hunter Nemechek, current points leader for the regular season. Also the why? I do not understand how NASCAR does this. I guess so. Okay, so John Hunter Nemechek would be the points leader if the playoffs started today, I believe, because he would get that bonus points. Although currently he has less bonus points than Austin Hill. I don't know. I'm just reading off of NASCAR, and that's my fault because NASCAR's not the best at their own information. But anyways, John Hunter Nemechek leads the playoff standings. Austin Hill second, Justin Allgaier third, Cole Custer in fourth, Chandler Smith in fifth, Sammy Smith in sixth. All six of those guys currently have wins. Josh Berry sits in seventh, Jeb Burton in eighth. Jeb has a win. Sheldon Creed in ninth, Sam Mayer in 10th, Riley Herbst in 11th, and Mr. Bleep himself in 12th. And then 18 points out of the cutoff line, Parker Kligerman. Brandon Jones, surprisingly, Brandon Jones only 27 points outside of the playoffs currently. That's possibly the biggest shock of the year because it seems like he's just had the worst season ever. But Brett Moffitt, 70 points out, Ryan Sieg, 77, Parker Retzlaff, 98. You're kind of getting a little bit farther down the list there as far as guys that are pretty far out of the points as they run. 12 drivers make the playoffs in the Xfinity Series, and they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 races left in their regular season. So they've got the most races left before their playoffs actually start because their playoffs don't start until Bristol in September. Kansas is actually their cutoff race. But there is a Daytona race. There is 4 road courses still left in the regular season. One of those being the Chicago Street Race, Atlanta, another super speedway that's in here. So there's a lot of wrinkles left in the Xfinity Series regular season over these 12 races.
Yes, but again, I think the landscape is not necessarily as crazy as it sounds because of those drivers that you read off. I mean, 13 of them essentially have any sort of anything for me. Once you get past Brandon Jones and into the Brett Moffitts, the Ryan Siegs, as much as you love Ryan Sieg, I'm telling you right now, it's not.
Rod, he's 150 to 1. How can you not place that bet? Come on.
I mean, you
Hey, we
can't.
saw a Ryan Sieg car win last week. They finally got that win.
They
He's
did.
going to win coming up at one of these super speedways where I bet him every time they go to one.
Or a road race because
And,
that one's
yeah,
the road course champion now.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but to make the playoffs, I may bet that, but not to win.
Again, this is where they should have odds for that because I would fully bet Ryan Sieg to make the playoffs because I think that he would win one of the super speedway races coming up. And he's currently, what did I say he is? He's 77 points out. So
Yeah.
you would get pretty decent odds on that. Give
Yeah.
us the option, books. Come on.
I mean, we have to come up with our own. I'm telling you right now that's.
By the
that's way
way,
it stands.
MGM, the only book right now that has the Xfinity Championship odds out. Why they're the only ones, I don't know. But shout out to MGM. Thanks for having this, or we wouldn't even be able to talk about this week because even up to yesterday, we were kind of wondering, are we just going to have to do the truck episode solo? Are we going to have Xfinity to even talk about this week? Luckily, MGM coming in clutch for us. But what are we doing, people?
We live in a day and age where it should be instantaneous. We should have it now, but oh well. At least we do have it for BetMGM. Yes, shout out to you guys as well. But yeah, to continue the point, I mean, there's only like I said, 13 drivers that I would even concentrate on. No Retzlaff, no Gralla, no Clements, no Williams, no Alfredo. So we'll just focus on those 13 drivers then and kind of give you the lay of the land. And this is actually a shorter of a tier, I guess, than the truck series, where obviously Zane Smith.
The odds are more gradual, at least for the first. There is still a drop-off point, I guess, which is an interesting. We'll get into it. It's an interesting spot to drop off. I don't necessarily agree with this as much as the other series.
Well, and that's the thing too, where we're starting to get names where we actually like to bet on, and so we get there. So John Hunter Nemechek sitting at plus 300, Cole Custer at plus 450, Austin Hill at plus 450, Allgaier at 500, Barry at 700. That is, I guess, the tier A in this instance. That's
kind of your 5 elite guys at this point. I mean, these are all veteran guys. They've been around. That's your core 5, I would say.
Yeah, and it shows. I mean, obviously in the standings, and it shows in the wins, in the win column, with all of these guys holding at least a win, right? Austin Hill has 3, Nemechek has 2, Allgaier has 1, Custer has 1. So all these guys have wins already. So obviously they are locked in the playoffs. Except for Barry, but yeah. But yeah, Barry can't get one. Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna get there. We got, like you said, got some road courses, got some super speedways. I'm sure that 8 car will find its way into victory lane. So of those, which one do you represents the best value?
So I think, again, I hate to just be hating on the favorites for all these, but John Hunter Nemechek at plus 300, again, not a guy I would really bet on. Does he have the best car? Yes. Is he the best driver? Yes. Did that team win the championship last year? Yes. That's a lot of check boxes in the yes thing. But he was the best driver in the best truck in the truck series the last 2 seasons, and he didn't even make the Final Four in either season. He won the regular season championship going away 2 years ago and didn't even make the Final Four. I don't know if Denny Hamlin's been rubbing off on him in the Gibbs department or what's going on. Rubbing off on him. That's probably maybe not the right way to put that, but oops. Anyways, sorry, I don't know.
Editor, cut that out.
Jesus, you got some work to do after the show, Rod.
Oh, I ain't doing any of it. These guys are here involved. Nope, not even close.
But no, it's just it's like he's allergic to the championship 4 even, and so I don't know that I would trust betting on him at plus 300. Cole Custer, I mean, going into the season, to get him at plus 450, you probably would have thought was crazy because he was going to win 10 races and just blow this series away, dominating, and that hasn't been the case. I still don't trust him enough to bet on him. Hill at plus 450, I do trust him enough to bet on him. We've seen how consistent he is. He's a championship level guy, and he can just, much like a Kevin Harvick, like he can consistency his way to the Final Four and then get it done in that type of race in a one-off at the end. Justin Allgaier would probably be the guy in this group that I would put my money on at 5-1. He's a veteran of the sport. He's been around a long time, and he's really good at Phoenix. You go back and you look at his history at Phoenix. He's got multiple wins there. He has got so many top 5 finishes at that track. I can't even count them all. It's a crazy amount. He's very good at Phoenix. And JRM, despite the struggles that they've had early in the season, which is funny because if you look at like Allgaier's season, he's been a top 3 car like most weeks overall, it seems like, right? And that was still where we were talking about they were struggling before they finally got his win a couple of weeks ago. But they had 3 cars in the championship 4 last season. Now they didn't win the title even with 3 cars in the Final Four, but Allgaier's been there time and time again. He's an Xfinity staple. He's been in the series a long time. We know he can get wins. The championship has eluded him, I guess, much like a Denny Hamlin, like a Mark Martin, right? Or he's been around a long time. He's always been competitive. He's always been up there, but hasn't quite gotten it done. But he's the type of guy I could see getting it done. And so I think he's probably the guy in this group that I would bet on. Josh Berry at 7-1. There is some value there. It's been a little bit of a rough start to the season for him. although again, not completely super rough. But it's been up and down for sure. At 7-1, if he gets on a roll, you won't see that number later on. So you could make the argument that this would be the best value you would find on him, most likely this season. So I do kind of like that as well. But I would say for me, it's between Hill, Allgaier, and Berry. And if I was going to pick one of those guys, I would probably take Allgaier.
I'm with you on that one. You know my love for Allgaier and my staunch defense of JRM all season long, because I am a softie for them and I like them a lot. But to your point though about Allgaier and Phoenix, in his 26 starts, he's got 9 top 5s, 17 top 10s, and 2 wins total. His average finishing position there is 9.5. You look at some of his playoff spots, 22 races at Bristol, he does have a win. 10 top 5s, 14 top 10s. That is the first in the round of 12. And then you move on to Texas, where he's made 25 starts, 5 top 5s, 13 top 10s. I mean, he finishes well at all of these playoff races. So definitely can't count him out of any of this, especially at Charlotte, 21 races, 1 win, 6 top 5s, 12 top 10s, 2 poles. Yeah, if I were to take somebody in that group, I would take Allgaier, especially at his 5-1. But, and to your point about John Hunter Nemechek as well, I think you made the same argument with Zane Smith. You might just start taking him to win races, because his odds will be better to win races than to hold on to that championship ticket for that long. You'll get instant return should he win, instead of waiting for a month, 2 months to get the same what you'd be getting that week.
Yeah, and I think I guess the main thing or point to hammer on it, hating on all these favorites, like, it's not hating on them. They're all deserved to be the favorite. Like, Larson should be the favorite. Zane Smith should be the favorite. John Hunter should be the favorite. It's just that they're not so much better and just blowing away the competition so much on a week-to-week basis that you just have to hammer them like they're the best team. Even the Chiefs and the Bills don't always win the Super Bowl, right? Even though they're the best team, the Patriots didn't always win the Super Bowl during that run. And that's what makes it hard in any sport to take the favorite to win the championship, because yeah, they should win it. If they win it, nobody's going to be surprised. You're not going to be shocked, but there are so many things that can happen, especially in this format. This isn't make it to the Super Bowl and beat the other team. This is make it to an all-out 4 guys go in the ring and 1 leaves with the championship. Anything can happen in those types of situations. And I think that just makes it so much more open. And if you want to take these favorite guys, it's almost like you just wait at these numbers that they're at and you say, how could I play this in that Final 4 race? Or you wait. Maybe John Hunter goes through a string where he has a couple of DNFs. Maybe these road courses don't necessarily go his way, or he wrecks out early on these super speedways and that number slips a little, and that's when you jump on it. But when they're at the top of their game right now and hitting everything, well, and even Larson and Smith aren't at the top of their game, and they're still at, their odds way up here. So going to be hard to get any of these guys. It's just hard to make a case value-wise as to putting the bets on these top guys at the very top of the list.
And let's not confuse it at all, too. These books are smart, and they protect themselves against the type of bets that people bet on favorites, because they know that if it does come out on top, if that driver does end up winning, they're out a lot of money if you offer it at too juicy of a price, right? If John Hunter Nemechek is at plus 450, plus 500, plus 600, and he goes out and wins, well, now you're paying out a lot of tickets, right? Yeah. You've lost yourself a lot of money as a book. So, I mean, I know as much as we as people that like to make picks like to pounce on the books when they make mistakes, they like to protect themselves, and that's why they offer these at such low prices, because they know obviously the odds are that it's going to happen. That's why we say
literally the odds are, right?
So yeah, it's an amazing thing. All right, so those are the top tier. That's I guess tier A for us. Tier B belongs to a few different drivers, and 2 Smiths are in that one. Smith & Smith, the law firm of Smith, Smith & Creed, make up the next 3 drivers in this one.
That actually might be a real place. It sounds very legit.
I would like the law firm of Smith, Smith & Creed. Sammy Smith and Chandler Smith both at 10-1. I don't know how that happened. And then Sheldon Creed sits there at 12-1. These 3 cars are snake bitten, and that's the trouble with these. Right. And I know you have love for all three of them, as I do. I hold Sheldon Creed near and dear to my heart, but I keep seeing that guy get his heart broken every week, man.
Betting on Sheldon Creed is asking for heartbreak at this point in time.
Even
it
at 12
really
to 1.
is. Yeah. I mean, so you can make the argument for Creed. We know he's good, right? We know he's fast. We know he can get up there. He just can't finish. If all of a sudden things start clicking for him, watch out, because he's very dangerous, right? And I'm pretty sure he won a Truck Series championship a couple of seasons ago. Maybe we can vet that, but we know that he can be very good, right? And so I think the case can be made for him at 12 to 1, but you're also inviting the heartbreak, because every time you bet on him, oh, he's having a great race. Here it comes. He's finally going to get it done. And every single fucking time something bad happens to him. And it's just like, my goodness. For Sammy Smith at 10 to 1, the one thing I want to highlight, they've been to Phoenix already once this season. He led 92 laps and won that race. That has to play into thinking about if he can find his way into the Final Four. It's been up and down, right? He's had a mixed bag of results, but he's had some very good races. He's got the win at Phoenix. He finished 4th at Coda. He finished 2nd at Martinsville. By the way, Martinsville is the race before Phoenix to get into the championship. He comes out and has back-to-back good races. He runs 2nd or wins that Martinsville race like he ran really good there in the first race. That momentum carries over into the championship race. I think Sammy Smith, he's very young, and that's kind of the biggest thing that would hold you back. But you go back and look at the last couple of seasons and these championship winning cars, what stable have they come out of? It's been the Joe Gibbs stable, right? Last season, it was the 54 and Ty Gibbs. Was the season before that was the number 11 at the time. He was number 18 season, I believe, right? Where it was where Daniel Hemrick beat out Austin Cindric in the championship race. And but I mean, I'm just saying, so Joe Gibbs has won this championship with 2 different guys, and one of those guys being the guy who's currently in the 11 car. His only ever career win was that championship race. But I think that alone makes Sammy Smith much worth betting on 10 to 1. And I will be in Iowa next week, and I will be placing a lot of these bets, and Sammy Smith is going to be one of those bets. And then Chandler Smith, again, it's a young guy. We've seen the flashes from him as well, right? He's had very fast cars at times. Is calling a championship level car? I don't know. AJ Allmendinger won the regular season championship last year, right? Wasn't really around when it came championship time. I don't know if the Kaulig organization can get it done with their focus on the Cup Series and everything at this point. So I don't know that I would take him, but I think you can make the argument for these guys. Again, Creed, we could look back and be like, man, can you believe we got him at 12 to 1 before he started clicking? Because if it starts hitting for Creed, it's going to start hitting. Like if he gets a win and he gets that monkey off his back, he could win 5 races by the end of the season. Like it could add up that quickly for Creed. He's that close to getting there. And once he punches through, we've seen it time and time again, right? It's the Casey Canes, it's the Chase Elliott's, even the Bill Elliott's. Like they finish second and they finish second and they finish second and they're so close and they're so close. And then they win and it's like, holy shit, they win and they win and they win and they win. And we've been there, except with the guy we were just talking about a minute ago that only has his one career win. But that's a different story. So again, I think you can make the case for all 3 of these guys, but Sammy Smith is the guy that I would for sure be betting on at 10 to 1.
I don't know. I mean, again, to me, it's a matter of with these 3 guys, the heartbreak is there. I mean, there's so much of you getting excited about betting on these guys on a weekly basis only to watch something terrible happen to them. And like you said, I mean, look, Sammy Smith is a kid, like Chandler Smith is a kid. Not to say the kids can't win this championship, but
yeah. What about Ty Gibbs? That was he look like he's 11?
Well,
he won last year, right?
Like I mean, can confirm I am taller than him. I
yes,
know that
exactly.
for sure.
So it just, and I think again, that is the biggest concern with, and even not so much even Creed. Creed doesn't. I don't know how old Creed is, but he is not. He's got time in the Truck Series, like he's been around. But with Smith and Smith, the brothers Smith and Smith, it is the age is the concern. But those Joe Gibbs cars are rockets. Like Sammy Smith is fast every week. Again, if he can put together enough good results in the playoffs, and get there. He's so good at those last two tracks. He could get it done, I think.
Chandler Smith, or Sheldon Creed, rather, the 2020 Cup or Truck Series champion.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was thinking.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's move off of those guys. I think a case has been made for them. This next one, I think what we can do is we can go about as far down as the books kind of let us go without laughing at us. And that's Sam Mayer at 20-1, Brandon Jones at 25-1, Riley Herbst at 25-1, Mr. at 30-1, Parker Kligerman at 50-1, and then I'll take the last guy with a win, Jeb Burton at 60-1, because after that you get the rep off. It's
I think if you take Burton off, I don't think Burton can win the championship. Even Kligerman at 50-1, that team's got a ways to go, I think, but the case can be made. And I think for all of these guys, well, let's just go through them, I guess. So Sam Mayer at 20-1, I think there's definitely value there. Again, you're in a Junior Motorsports car, and we've seen flashes from Mayer. And gosh, I feel like he did really good at Phoenix too. I'll have to look that up quickly, but Sam Mayer, I think, is definitely worth a look at. He finished 11th at Phoenix, I guess, so it wasn't that great. But at 31st at Martinsville, oof, rough. I'm looking at. Oh yeah, that is this year. Whatever. But Sam Mayer, I think in a Junior Motorsports car at 20-1. You could say the same thing about Brandon Jones at 25-1, but it's been a very rough season for Brandon Jones. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far on him. Mayer's shown flashes, right? He's been close to a couple of wins. He's been really fast at places. I think he could get it done. Brandon Jones, I'm just completely out on. Herbst at 25-1. My heart wants to take it, right? And we saw it early in the season. He's got to get a win first before we start talking about a championship, though. And I'm not ready. I don't think Herbst is a championship guy. Number 11, yes, that guy at 30-1. He was the most unlikely champion 2 seasons ago. Even in the Final Four, he was the most underdog of them all. Cindric should have easily won that title. One of the greatest finishes in NASCAR history. They bumped coming to the line, and he scooted ahead of him and got the championship. The only time he's ever won, despite being in super fast Gibbs cars weeks in and weeks out. He's not in a Gibbs car anymore. He's in a Kaulig car. He'll finish 12th at Phoenix like he does most weeks. Not going to bet on him, mostly because he's cost me a lot of money, and I don't like betting on him. Kligerman, I think 50-1 is the last guy that I can make a case for. He's run fairly consistent when he's had a car that doesn't break down, right? He's pretty good week in and week out. Go to these road courses, he's pretty decent. Go to other tracks, he's pretty decent. Are they a championship level team? Probably not. And when you're going to stack them up against Joe Gibbs cars, when you're going to stack them up against JRM, when you're going to stack them up against RCR, I don't think that big machine is quite ready to win a championship yet. 50-1, if he makes the Final Four, it'd be nice to say, hey, shit hits the fan and he pulls off something like number 11 did a couple of years ago. You got the ticket, so I could see placing it, but you're probably really stretching it at that point.
Oh yeah, I think you're definitely stretching it at that point. You're not stretching it as much as like let's say a Jeffrey Earnhardt at 1,000-1 or a Brendan Poole at 1,000-1.
Just save your money.
Why even offer? Why even?
Well,
I mean, you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. It's for that one person out there on Twitter that wants to place that bet, like place a $10 bet.
Jeffrey Earnhardt's mom is probably betting on that.
Yeah, so. And they want to be able to hold that ticket up when it comes time and it actually happens. It goes, see, I knew all along. It's like, no, you just got lucky and bet a pretty long shot. No research tells you Jeffrey Earnhardt's going to win a championship.
So I'm looking back at Kligerman's season, and I'm actually going to take back everything nice I said. It's not like his good finishes, though, have been on specialty tracks, right? He had 4th at Atlanta, Super Speedway. He had a 3rd at Talladega, Super Speedway. He had a 5th at Sonoma, road course. Those are his only good finishes. Like he had an 8th at Richmond, that's okay. 10th at Auto Club, 11th at Vegas, 15th at Phoenix.
But you got to be top 5 if you're going to win a championship.
Yeah, and you can't be. Yeah, so I don't even think placing a bet on Kligerman is worth it. I guess my heart makes me feel like he's been doing better than he has. He's been okay, but he's not competing with these top level teams. And so I don't think that he's even worth betting. So I think that that really Sam Mayer at 20-1 is probably the only quote unquote long shot I'm entertaining. I mean, yeah, with Jones, with Herbst, with the number 11 and Kligerman, it's I don't think those guys have what it takes to be the champion this year.
Yeah, and like I said, if it's not a tier A driver, I don't know if I want to touch it, because I know that crazy things can happen. I know that guys can get themselves in, and any given Saturday they can slide into a good finish and move on, or they can end up winning a super speedway to move on. But we've seen these top 4 or 5 cars be the dominant cars week in and week out, whether it's a road course, whether it's a super speedway, whether it's a mile and a half, whether it's a short track. These guys have been the ones getting it done all season long. And if somebody sneaks up and grabs it, more power to them. But I'm more willing to be a more conservative investor of a championship in Xfinity rather than trying to toss out a 300-1 on Jeffrey Clements.
Yeah, don't do that. I think that your champion is likely one of these top 5 guys, right? It's likely Nemechek, Custer, Hill, Allgaier, Berry. But I think that it could be Sammy Smith. It could be Sheldon Creed. It could be Sam Mayer. But as their odds suggest, those guys are definitely longer shots. Like most likely, a majority of your final 4 is coming out of those top 4 guys.
Yeah, and like I said, I completely agree with you, and the books agree with us as well. I know there'll probably be a lot of people out there talking and banging the door for a Riley Herbst, for a number 11, trying to make a case for either one of those. And if it happens, it happens, and I'll be wrong, and I'll be okay with being wrong on that.
There's certain times where you're okay missing out on a long shot like that, and these, I think that's the case here.
And you know what? That's funny too, because sometimes you just have to learn to be okay. If you're on the wrong end of it, like, don't get mad if you were wrong and somebody else was right. Just understand, look, this is where my research led me. This is what I was at. Was I right? No. Does it suck? Yeah. But I'm not going to be mad at the person who come to the other side of the conclusion. Like, that's not how this works. Life does not have to work like that. There's not zero sum. I'm happy for anybody that cashes a ticket. Like, I don't care if I was on the wrong end of it that week. That was just me. Like, it doesn't make me a worse person.
Yeah.
Or that.
Yeah. Well, and that's Eric Almirola 200-1 this past week. Like, yeah, it would have been really nice to hit a 200-1, obviously. And you love it for the people who did. But looking back, it's not like, wow, I really should have took that bet. Like, that's not, yeah. I mean, maybe we should have, yes, but you're not super sad that you didn't, because it's just, it ended up kind of being a freak thing that happened. It's the same thing when number 11 won the championship 2 years ago. Like, I would like to go back and see what his odds were, because it wasn't a Joe Gibbs car. So it's not like it was some underdog, like big machine racing team that won. He was in a freaking Gibbs car, but just the fact that he hadn't won ever in his career, and the fact that he beat the big guy and Cindric, and I can't remember who else were the big dogs those years in the series, but it's going to come from one of these bigger guys, most likely.
Yeah, there's no way I think it doesn't. Although I will say this, if you want to try to find good value in betting all of the favorites of this, give him a nice little parlay. I took John Hunter Nemechek. This is on BetMGM.
Will they let you parlay?
Yeah, John Hunter Nemechek, Kyle Larson, and Zane Smith all to win the championships of their respective series, plus 7,100 if you parlay all those together. So if you really want to try to find some value in that, that's definitely something that you can do. And man, I'm telling you right now, a safe little $10 bet on this one will actually net you a pretty decent value, $720 on a $10 bet. So if you just want to put all those in there now, kind of lock them in and get you plus 7,100 on BetMGM, that's what you can do.
Who do I want to take for the Cup Series, Rod? Who's going to be our Cup Series champion?
Well, look, I put Kyle Larson in the mix. So that's the thing. If you wanted to take,
you do go the chalk there, right? Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna be in Iowa, where it's very legal next year, so or next week. So stay tuned in the Discord, because I'll be sharing my multiple things that I build. But I'm going to be placing a $10 parlay on Sammy Smith, Corey Heim, and Kyle Larson, plus 3620 $10 will win you $3,630. Make sure you get that bet placed.
I tell you what, though, if you add, now I'm getting kind of froggy. If you add,
That's what I'm saying. I'm probably building 10 parlays for championship futures next week.
Well, if you add Justin Allgaier instead of John Hunter Nemechek, that bumps you to 10,700. So plus 10700. A $10 bet will win you $1,080 for that one. Or if you really want to get crazy and put Sammy Smith in there to add to Kyle Larson and Zane Smith, that bumps you up to 197 to 1. A $10 bet will win you $1,980. Okay. Woo,
Shout out to MGM. They're killing it over here. Love you, MGM. Thank you.
Yeah, they're doing it good. So yeah, that's one way. If you wanted to, like I said, if you want that 71 to 1, as far as all three of those champions together with Larson, with Smith, and with Nemechek, there's your way to bet the favorites and feel good about it. Because all three of those, when they hit, if they hit, you'll be a lot happier if you just hit one at plus 200. I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's a fun way to do it. I like it.
Yeah, me too. All right, I think that's a good place to end it. Right? Let's let everyone go out and get their own little parlays going, little parlay juices going.
That's right. Okay, well, if you're listening to this before Thursday, this is episode 199. Thursday will be number 200. Send in your questions. We're fielding questions on Twitter, on Discord. DM us, tweet at us, just drop it in the chat, whatever. We'll be answering tons of questions, much like we did for our 100th episode. Going to be a fun time, so get those questions in.
And we're going to do it live too, so you can actually join us and ask some questions as well. I think our schedule allows for that. So
I think we got to figure out. We don't know what time yet. We got to figure. We haven't got that far in life, but yeah, we'll definitely jump on live. So make sure you're subscribed on YouTube so you can join us live. You can get your questions in then, and just have a fun party. Maybe we should come back with a couple of championship parlays. As our bonus on that episode. So you have to stay tuned. We'll find some fun stuff. Don't worry.
We will. Don't even worry about that. So all right. Well, Cody, as we let everybody go right now, let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Yep. Follow me on Twitter @Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my work over there. I've got F1 article out right now, an IndyCar article coming later this week. Hopefully an IndyCar episode on this show if we get some odds. I got an NFL Head Coach of the Year article that's going to be dropping later this week. Check all that stuff out. Check out the F1 Gambling Podcast as well. Been having a lot of success over there lately, and our episode for this week is up. So come back tomorrow for number 200, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we made it easy for you to find that F1 show, too. I'm throwing it in the NASCAR feed each and every week. Hope you guys don't mind. We're pretty proud of that show. We absolutely love to do it, and getting it a little more exposure by putting it in the feed for you guys. Skip over it if you don't want to, but I guarantee you're going to have some fun listening to it if you like us at all.
There's no NASCAR to bet on this week. Go bet on F1.
And you're going to get hooked. I guarantee you that right now.
That's the thing, too. Like, even if you don't know anything about F1, or if you've watched it before and you're like, I don't like to watch the same guy win by 40 seconds. Like, we joke about that all the time, and we still find ways to bet around him and to bet with him winning that way. Like, give it a chance while there's no NASCAR to bet on this weekend. You got IndyCar, you got F1. Sit down, listen, give it a chance. I promise you'll get hooked.
I do too. Follow me on Twitter @RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's in between media, on the back road. And then, of course, I'm actually going to have an F1 article coming out for frequency's sake. So keep an eye on that as well. Find that on the Twitter machine. We'll be back tomorrow celebrating 200 episodes of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. Come do it with us. We'll see you tomorrow. Until next time, let's go racing and let it ride.